Well, big news out of Ottawa today. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that he and the Liberals, along with the NDP, will be sleeping together over the next several years. Hey, welcome to a special edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Brandon Gomez. Before I get into all of those details, which I know you guys want, I do need to do a few things, like subscribing to this channel, tapping that notification bell, and make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Okay, today, we're talking politics because we heard from every single political leader. They took the podium, they held a press conference to talk about the dramatic news that was announced. And that is the fact that the Liberals and the NDP have come to an agreement where the NDP will literally prop up. They will support the Liberals for the next several years up until 2025. What does that mean? We will not have a federal election in this country for the next several years. Now, of course, a lot of people are asking, how did this happen? Is this allowed to happen? Remember, we are in a minority government. The Liberals, they hold a minority amount of the seats, meaning that they hold the most seats, but not a majority of the seats. Anytime they want to pass legislation, anytime they want to pass a law, they need the support of another party. Well, they are now going to get that support from the NDP permanently up until 2025. We'll get more into those details, but first, let's hear from the Prime Minister himself.
Uncertainty Canadians deserve. That was our focus every step of the way. We saw in the previous Parliament what happened to even issues where there was consensus in the House that got dragged down, that got slowed down. And we weren't able to deliver as much as we wanted to, but as much as Canadians deserved from a government that wants to be there to have people's backs. So what we're able to do with this one is offer the stability that will allow us to continue to work hard on fighting climate change, on building more housing, on delivering on the many things that Canadians expect from a strong progressive government. And that's exactly what this is all about.
Okay, so let's break down why these parties are doing this. We know that Justin Trudeau said in his speech that, well, when we had our election in 2021, he heard from Canadians and they said, you know what, they gave me a minority government and they want us to work together as parliamentarians. And so this is what they're doing. This is what Justin Trudeau says. But let's also remember, this is politically advantageous for him. What do I mean by that? Well, he will continue to be Prime Minister for the next several years up until 2025 without fear of any election. And he doesn't have to worry, about the same level of criticism from the NDP because they have this agreement in place. We got to talk about Jagmeet Singh and what this means for him. Well, we know that in exchange for supporting the Liberals are now also going to support some very, very strong NDP priorities like a national dental care program and a national pharmacare program. In fact, when NDP leader Jagmeet Singh took to the podium today, the reason he said he's supporting this move is because it's going to help a lot of Canadians. Take a listen.
When they talk about how it's been tough, the pandemic has been really hard on a lot of people, and the cost of living going up is making it really hard on folks. And then we've got a war where people are feeling less safe. And in this time, everyone I talk to, people are telling me that they need help now, and they expect politicians to deliver that help. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're using our power to get help to people. We are getting help for people that need their teeth fixed. We're getting help for people that need to buy their medication and can't afford to. We're getting help to people that need to find a home to call their own and can't afford one. We're getting help to people dealing with the climate crisis and making sure that we do everything we can to build a better life for people. This is our obligation. I got into politics to help people. And I think about all the folks that I've met, people that came to me with their hand over their mouth because of their teeth not being in good health. The seniors I've spoken to that could not afford medication because they just don't have the budget to afford it. Young families that can't find a home. These are people that are worried. And kids are worried about their future. They're worried about the climate.
No, of course, not everybody is happy about this. There are a lot of people angry about this, including the Conservatives. Of course, they are the official opposition, but they just lost a lot of power because, as we know, now the Liberals and the NDP, they hold a majority of seats in the House of Commons, which reduces the power of the Conservatives. So we heard from interim leader Candice Bergen. She took to the podium and she said outright that this is a power grab by Justin Trudeau. Take a listen.
This is an NDP Liberal government, and they have the majority. 82% of voters did not vote for a Liberal NDP government, including millions of Liberal voters. These Canadians woke up this morning to the fact that they have been hoodwinked and they've been deceived by their Prime Minister. Now, let me be clear, this is nothing more than a Justin Trudeau power grab. He is desperately clinging to power. His number one goal, as we have seen over the course of the last 6 years, is always to do what's best for him, not to do what's best for Canadians. Now, make no mistake, the NDP are in charge. What does this mean? Well, it means the decimation of Canadian oil and gas and LNG, which we know this more than ever. That means that is really a way to prop up Putin and Russia.
But realistically, there's not much the Conservatives can actually do about this, because this is something that is legal. You can do this in our democracy. In fact, several democracies in Europe, this is how a lot of minority parliaments operate, where two parties will come together and they will work together. On the other side of all of this, remember that the Conservatives are distracted right now. They are right now undergoing a leadership race. So they are going to be fighting against each other. They're going to be ripping each other apart as they find who is going to be their next permanent leader. That decision also is not going to come until the end of the year. So this might actually kind of help the Conservatives a little bit, because it's going to give them more time to figure their situation out, give them more time to, once they finally choose a leader, to have that time to introduce them to Canadians, have time to fundraise, and then in 2025, we're going to have an epic election. So a lot of people are asking, well, what's your take on this, BG? Well, let me give you that. Because when you look at what's been happening, here is the reality. Canadians don't want another federal election. Remember, we have a provincial election here in Ontario in just 2 months in June. Nobody wants to go back to the polls. They actually want to see our elected officials work together. Now, is this the arrangement that most Canadians want? Well, let's look at the stats, because in last year's election, I can tell you this, 32.6% of voters voted for the Liberals. 33.7% of voters voted for the Conservatives, but 17.8% voted for the NDP. So if you did tie the Liberal and NDP support together, you technically get 50% of voters. But here's the criticism, and this is what we've been hearing from the Conservatives. Those 50% of people didn't vote for the NDP and the Liberal policies. They voted for NDP policies, those 17%, and the 32-point-odd% voted for Liberal policies. But now we're going to kind of see a merging of the two. Now, here's the thing. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh did come out on social media. He posted a photo and he said one of the reasons why he said he's moving forward with this is because he looked back at how healthcare came to be in this country. And healthcare came to be under Tommy Douglas. Now, is this something, again, Canadians want to see? That's really up to you guys. You got to let us know your thoughts in the comments section right now. But what we do know is that there will not be a federal election for several years. If you are a taxpayer, you don't have to worry about those costs, that enormous cost of having an election. However, if you are a budget-conscious taxpayer, we're probably going to see a lot more debt, because implementing these big programs is going to cost a lot of money.
We're going to make sure people can get their teeth looked after. We're going to make sure people can afford their medication. We're going to make sure that people can find a home they can afford.
But at the same time, there's so many different perspectives here. A lot of people have said, if we were able to spend a lot of money during the pandemic to help a lot of companies who needed that help, why can't we spend that same amount of money helping the little guy who needs that help too? Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section. Hopefully you enjoyed this News You Can Use, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, tap that notification bell, and follow us on all of our social media. Thanks for watching. Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel, and listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.